Hello everyone, David A. Cox here with Tech Talk America, and I thought it would be fun to do a class on my favorite uses for Siri. The reason why I wanted to do this class is I recently put out a little fun post on Facebook, thank you to our fans who responded, asking you what is your favorite use for Siri? Because I had a suspicion that a lot of people were maybe underutilizing it, and that suspicion was confirmed. So what I thought I would do is kind of share with you my favorites, kind of as a tech guy, my favorite things that I do with Siri. So here they are, coming up next on techtalkamerica.com. Sorry I couldn't come up with a clean number like 10, so here's my top 11 favorites. Starting with number 11, which is to use Siri to do basic math equations. My favorite is, of course, just calculating tips at a restaurant. So instead of cracking out one of those special tip calculators, you don't need it. Just ask Siri what's 20% or however you tip on whatever the bill is. Now, number 10, I admit I don't use that often, but I think some of you out there might. So when it comes to GPS driving directions apps, if your choice is Apple Maps, then you can use Siri to estimate your time of arrival. Just say, Siri, what's my ETA? And she'll tell you the approximate time that you'll get to your destination. Number 9 is just kind of a fun one, but I'm gonna give you a little disclaimer on it so that it doesn't accidentally burn you at some point in the future. So you can tell Siri to call you by a nickname. So that, for example, if I tell her to call me DaveBot, okay, I can say, Siri, what's the weather? And Siri will say, it's gonna be cold, DaveBot, something like that. The key thing that you should absolutely know is that information goes into your contact card. So if you share your contact card with someone else, like an office colleague, you don't probably want them to see an inappropriate nickname. So I've learned that one the hard way, but there you go. That's me teaching all of you so that you don't have to go through what I did. Number 8 is really especially helpful to any of you out there who just have like a sea of apps on your phone, especially if they're not very well organized. So you can use Siri to launch apps. So if you just can't find it, just don't worry about it. Just say, Siri, launch, and then the name of the app. This one I use literally every single day, which is location-based reminders. Usually, in my case, the location is my home. So for example, if I'm in the middle of driving, I might remember, ooh, that's right, someone's birthday's coming up, I gotta get them a present. Well, I'm not gonna, pull over on the side of the road and order something off my phone. What I'll do is I'll say, Siri, remind me when I get home to order so-and-so a present. And so by doing that, when my phone gets into my home wireless network, it knows I'm home. It also uses GPS. And voila, I get a little ding on my phone. I also get it on my computer saying, remember to buy that present. There's 2 parts to number 6, one of which I think probably a lot of you know, part 2 maybe not so much. So you can use Siri to, of course, set alarms. So whether it's an alarm clock in the morning or just you want to take a nap, you can say, set an alarm for 30 minutes from now. You can use it for that, but here's the thing that a lot of people forget about, and this is where part 2 is. When you go to set an alarm, it actually saves it. Even though it's not active necessarily, it is still saved. So that if you go back into the clock app on your phone, you'll just see this endless scroll of all of these times. And rather than swipe, are you sure you want to delete, just do this. You can also use Siri to clear alarms. So you can say, Siri, delete all my alarms. And voila, they're gone. Okay, number 5 is actually a very serious one, and I'd like to make a little request out there. Please, those of you, especially if you have, aging parents, anyone who might be at risk, pass this on to them. You can use Siri to call for emergency services. So let me set up a scenario for you. So my phone is an iPhone 7, which means that one of the features is it has the HEY Siri feature. So in other words, I can just say the words Siri, and it will set it off. Let's say that my phone right here is on my kitchen counter. By the way, that's where the camera is right now. Hi, you're in my kitchen. And I'm over on the couch and I just start to have this really bad feeling. I might not be able to make it to my phone. So the key words that you need to learn these verbatim, okay? You can say HEY Siri, call 911 on speaker. absolutely critical. You must say on speaker at the end, because if you don't, you can't use Siri once a call has been started. So really, really important that you say that right off the bat. My next favorite is a little bit of a follow-up to the previous one, which is just basically using Siri in general for communication. So for example, if I'm driving, I absolutely do not text and drive. That is one of my things. I do absolutely not do that. So I use Siri as my resource. So I'll use it to create text messages. One of the things that you should know is that you can do more than just say, send a text message to so-and-so. And then if you stop at that point, Siri's going to say, okay, what would you like to say to so-and-so? You don't have to do that. You can actually just say the whole thing. You can say, send a text message to Steve. You want to grab a bite to eat later. And he, she, it, Siri will do that for you. You can also use Siri to do things like listen to voicemails, of course placing calls on speakerphone, and a lot more, like emails, you name it. Coming in at number 3 with limited success here, we kind of a little bit of a microclimate here, so we don't have the best success when it comes to weather prediction, but weather reports. So if you're going to be going out this weekend, you can just yell to Siri, Siri, what's the weather going to be like this weekend? And she'll tell you. All right, my top 2 are 2 that are very special to me. I use these religiously, like every single day. So, number 2, I'm going to give you a little bit of an explanation on. Okay, number 2 is creating and managing lists. So the way that I use this, some of you may not know this, but I have ADD, ADHD technically speaking, and one of the things that happens to me is I get a lot of ideas that hit me all the time, usually when I'm not focused on work, usually if I'm taking a nature walk or if I'm driving, and I have to do something to hold on to that memory. And I'm not well disciplined enough to write it down on paper because I'll lose it. So the way that I get around this is I use Siri. So for example, let's say I'm at home and I'm going through my kitchen and I'm looking at what I'm running low on. If you go into the Reminders app on your iPhone and create a list called shopping, or however you would phrase it, maybe grocery, you can then say, Siri, add cereal to my shopping list. And so then on your list called shopping, you will see that item added. So when I go to the grocery store, I don't have to worry about finding that piece of paper that I scribbled it all down on. I just take out my iPhone, go into the shopping list, and I've got everything right there. That's just one example. Another example that I'll just shout out to you. I'm not a guy who's done a ton of travel in his life. I would love to, especially with my drone. I love filming with my drone. And so I have lists in my phone of all of these amazing, beautiful places in the world that I would love to travel to one day. And so when I'm chatting with someone who's been there, what I do is I say to them, what is your favorite place to go to, whether it's a restaurant or an amusement, something like that. And they'll tell me, and I'll say, Siri, add name of attraction or restaurant, whatever, to my list corresponding to that city. So there are a ton of uses for how you can kind of organize your thoughts just by using Siri along with the Reminders app. And my number 1 favorite use for Siri is using Siri for home automation. Now this is just one example of one of the types of products that you can now control using nothing more than your voice with Siri. This is the LifeX Smart Light Bulb. In my house, I have a few different types of smart light bulbs. These are by far my favorite, but these are light bulbs with a Wi-Fi chip in them. And so they hook up to your iPhone and you can turn on and off your lights using nothing more than Siri. For those of you out there who like me, maybe you went to Tomorrowland at Disney World back when you were a kid, and if you're curious about, I wonder what other kinds of things in my house can you control now using Siri? I'm going to put some of my favorite products down below in the description of the video. I mean, it's incredible. You can now control things like the locks on your doors, of course, your thermostat, and a whole bunch more. So thanks for watching, everyone. Let me know what your favorite use for Siri is in the comments section of this video, and we'll see you next time. Also, by the way, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to our little YouTube channel. That way you can find out when we come out with new content. This is David A. Cox with Tech Talk America. Class dismissed.